Julian and I broke up and got back together for 4 years. We fought countless times over his one of the boys' girl buddy. Split up countless times. Everyone believed I couldn't live without Julian, that I would cling to him forever. After all, my love for Julian had always been glaringly obvious. So obvious that every time we broke up I was the first to cave. Jules, your little wifey's here begging you to get back together again. Doesn't she realize how pathetic she looks crawling back to you, just like a dog? At the party in Manhattan's Upper East Side, Rowan draped herself over Julian's shoulders and laughed without a shred of shame. That was already the 3rd month of the latest radio silence Julian had kept with me, because of her. But this time I didn't argue, didn't throw a tantrum. I simply twisted the ring on my ring finger, calm as still water. No one knew that 3 days earlier I'd married Julian's sworn enemy. I'd shown up tonight for someone else. Before we go on, please subscribe and comment to let us know where you're listening from. My phone vibrated at that exact moment. Wife, the flight from Miami is delayed. I might be a little late. Wait for me. I sat in the corner, unlocked my phone, and answered in a flat tone. I didn't waste a single word on Rowan. The change in me made the friends who'd already half risen, ready to pull Rowan and me apart, give awkward chuckles, and sit back down. Everyone knew Rowan and I were oil and water. Every time that a girl buddy of his inched closer to Julian, I lost my cool. The worst time I'd pinned her to the floor of a Los Angeles nightclub and nearly slashed her face. Julian slapped me hard for it. Lily, apologize. His voice was chipped ice. It was the first time he'd ever struck me for Rowan's sake, and it finally woke me up. For years together, if he hadn't enabled her, Rowan could never have kept barging into our life as one of the guys. 3 months is enough for you to think it over. Lily, there won't be a next time. Indeed, there wouldn't be. I stood up. Everyone tensed. Sis, don't do anything rash. Julian's buddy is flying in from Chicago tonight. Rowan's just here to welcome him.
Yeah.
Sis, Julian only treats Rowan like one of the dudes. To us she's more manly than the men. Please don't flip. Move. I raised a brow and nudged the 2 blockers aside. Under Rowan's battle-ready stare I walked straight past her, yanked open the door, and stepped out. Before the door clicked shut I could still hear their relieved chatter. Jules, you're savage. You iced her out for 3 months, and today she shows up a whole new person. Back then the moment Rowan teased her she'd lunge. Jules sure knows how to train a woman. I found it amusing. I walked to a quiet corner of the Brooklyn rooftop. Just as Ethan rang again I picked up. Wife, I miss you so much. Almost 30 minutes later he finally, reluctantly, hung up. A wisp of cigarette drifted from behind me. I turned. Julian, windbreaker hanging loose, cigarette dangling, lounged in my path back. Can't stand Rowan and me sitting together that much? Seeing my phone already locked, he smirked. You'd rather hide out here than go back and really turned over a new leaf? It has nothing to do with you. I was on a call. Come on, Lily, stop acting. Who else would put up with talking to you outside for so long? He snickered. Noticing my frown, he stubbed the cigarette. Then, half ordering, come back in and apologize to Rowan. Once she forgives you we'll get back together. Be reasonable. Lily, Rowan's the youngest among us guys. A little spoiled, but to us she's still just one of the boys. I'd heard the same line dozens of times in 4 years. Memories flickered like a film reel. Rowan stripping and crawling into Julian's bed at his Malibu beach house while I was away. Drunk Julian. Rowan pretending to be me, kissing him against the wall as a buddy at a Las Vegas party. Countless scenes like those in those 4 years. I didn't believe Julian truly felt nothing about Rowan's games. Move. I lifted a hand to push him. What's that? He seized my wrist, staring at the ring on my finger. His expression flickered. Then he burst out laughing. Lily, who taught you this reverse psychology crap? I'm married. Back in the room, I ignored the empty seat beside Julian. I sat in the corner and flicked through my phone. Julian's face darkened. He threw back one glass of Cabernet after another. Some people have no shame, claiming they're married just to get Jules to look at them. Thinks she's made of gold, that Jules can't live without her. Just a piece Jules played with for 4 years. Same as her dead mom, only knows how to scheme after men. I darkened my screen and hurled the phone into Rowan's face. Say one more bark and see what happens. The air crackled. No one dared breathe. Julian frowned, eyes glassy from wine, hearing Rowan's sobs as he set down his glass. Lily, apologize. His voice was sharp. Whenever Rowan and I clashed, he always took her side. I laughed coldly inside. My refusal deepened his scowl. Before, the moment he spoke, no matter how bitter I felt, I would bow to Rowan for the sake of us. Lost your temper? Huh? Am I wrong? Lily, you're just a low-born orphan, hidden behind Julian. Rowan still baited me. She knew however vile her words, he would shield her. Rowan, don't speak to your sister-in-law like that. Sure enough, Julian only ruffled her hair and brushed off her slurs with a smile. I suddenly laughed. I reached for the Cabernet and filled a glass. Julian's gaze warmed. He thought I was finally surrendering to Rowan. Rowan also stretched out her hand, smirking. Lily, oh, big sis, know what? You look even more like a dog when you offer a toast. Really? I smiled back. The next second, while Rowan's guard was down, I smashed the glass, grabbed her hair, and poured the Cabernet, shards and all, into her mouth. Julian shoved me away at once. Lily, have you lost it? Rowan was just flapping her lips. She didn't actually hurt you, so my mother and I deserve every insult? Blood trickled from Rowan's lips. Leaning in Julian's arms, she stared at me, terrified yet venomous. I narrowed my eyes. Still staring? Rowan, looks like you don't want those eyes either. Lily. Julian couldn't hold back any longer and warned me in a low voice. He leaned down and picked Rowan up. Only then did the others snap out of the shock. They scrambled to open the restroom door for Julian so he could rinse Rowan's wound. I stayed in my seat and heard the voices inside grow louder and louder. Jules, what the hell are you thinking? Rowan's your ride or die. We've been tight since we were kids in Boston. What does that woman Lily even count for? She's crazy. Why can't you let her go? She hurt Rowan this bad. We can't just let it slide. So what do you want to do? The moment Julian's irritated voice cut through, the room went silent. After a long pause, he spoke again. Enough. I'll make Lily give Rowan an explanation. Get to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center first. Then, what about Ethan? Didn't the old man tell us to buddy up to him while we're here? Julian yanked the door open, face dark. His buddies filed out behind him, shooting me identical glares of hatred before they helped Rowan downstairs. Only the two of us were left. Julian kneaded his temples. Lily, you went too far this time. Even if you're jealous of Rowan because of me, you can't actually lay a hand on her. Since when did Julian get this delusionally self-absorbed? I said nothing. I only found it sort of funny. I placed my black card on the table. Her medical bills are on me. Julian, we already broke up. That night 4 years ago, Julian stood in the rain all night outside my apartment in Seattle, kneeling before my mother's portrait. He bit at the corner of my lip. Lily, please look at me. Let's be together. Let me take care of you in your mom's place, okay? Looking at his red-rimmed eyes, I softened. Then came Rowan's provocations. Again and again. I was sick with fever. Julian went to buy me medicine, but Rowan dragged him off to a karaoke bar in downtown Seattle. On my mother's death anniversary, I sat alone by her headstone at Forest Lawn Memorial Park while laughter rang out nearby. Rowan set up a grill, threw her arm around Julian, and coaxed him into Cabernet skirmish after Cabernet skirmish. Fight after fight over Rowan. Round and round. I was exhausted body and soul. I should have given up on this roller coaster love long ago. Lily, what do you mean? Julian clenched his jaw, disbelief written across his face as he gripped my shoulders. You're actually breaking up with me. Lily, how dare you? This is just another one of your mind games, right? His eyes locked on mine, unblinking. Yeah. You've got no family left. Only me. There's no way you'd give me up. As he spoke, his expression eased. He lazily fished out a cigarette, parked it between his lips unlit. Lily, cut the drama. You know I hate this. The push and pull crap doesn't work on me. If you want to get back together, come to Cedars-Sinai and apologize to Rowan. I'll wait for you there. This is the last chance I'm giving you. He shut the door. He never once asked why I'd come here in the first place, or why I hadn't left. 10 minutes later, the person I was waiting for finally arrived. Ethan waved his security detail off and walked to my side. Taking in the wreckage of the room, he raised a brow. Madam Wife, throwing a tantrum with my ex-bro, again? 16 times. Wife, he quipped, jealous accusation thick in his voice. I called you 16 times from the car and you ignored me, but you're here losing your temper over your ex. Ethan's eyes were red with envy. Lily, be honest, in your heart, am I just the spare tire, or does your ex still outrank me? Ethan, my phone shattered, catching the reek of vinegar in the air. I offered a rare explanation. Who said you're a spare? Last I checked we're legally married in New York. Julian's the outsider now. You mean it? Of course. Then when I hand him the engraved invitation to our wedding next week at the Hamptons estate, you're not allowed to get mad. Ethan, did a donkey kick your brain? He suddenly hauled me into a fierce kiss. It totally did, Ethan murmured against my teeth. Who told my big announcement to flop this time? Lily, I'm going to let every last person know. You're mine now. I had no family, no friends. The only social circle I had was Julian and his crew. So on the wedding day, I invited no one. 1 hour until the ceremony, the guests had all arrived. They huddled together, whispering, speculating on what kind of woman could make the famously reckless Hawthorne heir finally settle down. Julian lounged irritably against a table edge at the Hawthorne mansion in Beverly Hills. Scowling, he listened to his buddies brag about Ethan's ruthless tactics since taking over Hawthorne Industries, and how, just to please his bride, he'd bought the entire stretch of land land in the Hamptons for today's venue. The Hawthorns and the Sterlings had always been sworn business enemies on Wall Street. Naturally, Julian and Ethan's mutual hatred ran just as deep if the Sterling family weren't in a tight spot and in need of Hawthorn capital. And if old man Sterling weren't breathing down his neck, Julian would never have shown up today. Someone came over to butter him up with a toast. Julian brushed them off with an icy face. His mind wasn't here at all, and he couldn't care less whom Ethan was marrying. More than a week had passed since the night he'd walked off and left Lily alone. She hadn't contacted him once. That had never happened before. Julian kept swiping at Lily's number in his contacts. Should he call just this once? Or was this another one of Lily's calculated games? Radio silence meant to force him to crawl back. Julian's gaze flickered, indecisive. Suddenly his phone was snatched away. Rowan slapped his shoulder in irritation. Jules, are we bros or not? I've been calling you forever and you're zoning out. We're here for your sworn enemy's wedding, so don't screw this up over that bitch Lily again. Come on. Rowan dragged him toward the stairs. Your grandpa told you to use this chance to smooth things over with Ethan and lock down that deal, right? I've already figured out how to break the ice. Ethan's bride is upstairs in the dressing room right now. If she can wrap a madman like Ethan around her finger, we buddy up to her first. Then have her talk Ethan into cooperating with the Sterlings. Kills two birds with one stone. As she spoke, she signaled Julian's buddies, who distracted the security posted at the stair landing. The door swung open. Julian lifted his head irritably and locked eyes with me, standing there in a haute couture wedding gown. Out, I said, frowning. Lily, why on earth are you here? The moment Rowan saw me, she shrieked theatrically. She looked me up and down, a deep, venomous jealousy flashing in her eyes. Then, as though she'd finally connected the dots, she sneered. Lily, have you no shame? Rowan sneered. Just to get back together with Jules. You'd sneak upstairs, put on someone else's wedding gown, and pretend to be the bride. If we hadn't shown up, were you going to roll with the mistake and marry Ethan outright? TSK, is this your newest trick to get Jules's attention? Take that dress off, now. Rowan lunged forward and yanked at my gown. Lily, do you even realize how important today is? If you ruin this gown, could you ever pay for it? Lucky for you, the real bride isn't here right now. Offend Ethan and not even Jules can protect you. Rowan, let go. The quarrel drew a flood of curious guests up the staircase. Rowan grew even angrier. Righteous indignation glowed on her face as she pointed at me. Go on, Lily. Keep making a scene. You women who can't think past romance. As Jules's best friend, I've done everything I can for you today. You have no idea what kind of disaster you've dragged Jules into. That gown was custom made in Paris by the Hawthorn heir himself for his bride, and you actually dared to steal it just so you could win Jules back. When the Hawthorns arrive, I'd like to see how you explain this. In the end, Jules will be the one cleaning up your mess. Really, Rowan, didn't the Hawthorns forbid anyone to enter the second floor? Yeah. Rowan, maybe you've got the wrong person. The second floor is the changing suite for Hawthorn, and security's posted downstairs. How could anyone wander in? This was the Hawthorn estate in Beverly Hills. Every guest here was either powerful or obscenely rich, though they had never seen me beside Ethan before. Veterans of boardroom battles weren't about to let Rowan lead them by the nose. Seeing the security detail approach and bow to me one by one, someone sensed trouble and hastily tried to smooth things over. Ha! Ha! Rowan, I bet you're as over the moon about the wedding as I am and had one glass too many. Come, let's head downstairs. Rowan lacked that man's sharp eyes. She shoved him away, her face flushed with rage. Why won't any of you believe me? I couldn't be mistaken. If I could distract the guards and slip up here, then this lunatic Lily, who spent 4 years trying to get back with Jules and once injured me, what wouldn't she do? That's right, sis. We'll all vouch for Rowan. And Jules is right here. We've known you forever. Just take the gown off and give it back to the real bride. Don't make Jules lose face in front of outsiders. When Rowan mentioned her old injury, Jules's buddies stepped from the crowd to shield her. They stared at me as though I might attack Rowan again at any second. You do know me well. I smoothed my dress and Jules with a half smile. Lily, take the gown off and come with me. Julian's face was bloodless, his eyes fixed on me as if seeking proof. In a hoarse voice he said, change out of that dress and I'll agree to get back together with you. Let's go. I'm taking you home to Boston. More guards rushed in at the commotion. They blocked the doorway, and the head of security bowed to me before smashing a fist into the face of the guard who had been posted at the stairs. What the hell were you doing? The boss ordered that no one disturb Mrs. Hawthorn while she's on the second floor. Julian's face went even paler. Acting as if he hadn't heard, he gripped my wrist. Stop this. Lily, come home with me. You used to hate my smoking, right? If you come back, I'll quit, starting now. For 4 years the Sterling heir had never changed a a single habit for me, and now he claimed he could kick nicotine just like that. I arched a brow, about to answer, when steady footsteps sounded from the corridor. Ethan stepped inside, his gaze locking onto Julian's hand around my wrist. His voice was colder than anyone had ever heard it. "What's this? Young Master Sterling, you're trying to walk off with my wife?" Or, Ethan lowered his eyes. "Do you, Julian, now speak for the entire Sterling group and wish to declare war on the Hawthorne Corporation?" Julian's hold on my wrist began to tremble. He couldn't lie to himself any longer. Ethan had made it clear. I was Ethan's wife, his bride-to-be today. President Hawthorne, misunderstanding. My friends and I, we mistook the lady. Under 100 intersecting stares. Julian released my hand. The words ground out between clenched teeth. Unlike Ethan, he hadn't assumed control of his family yet. Given the Sterling Group's current state, he couldn't afford to cross the Hawthorns. Rowan's expression had completely crumbled. She shrieked. "That's impossible. Ethan, have you gone blind? How could Lily be your wife? Are you insane? With all the eligible women out there, you marry this has-be." A sharp slap rang out. Rowan was seized by the throat and pinned to the floor by a Hawthorne guard. No longer able to utter a syllable. Apologies for the unsightly scene. Everyone. Stupidity brings out my violent streak. Ethan accepted a handkerchief from the guard, wiped his fingers, then smiled politely. "You all know my temper. Anyone who offends my wife offends me personally. Anything else? Ladies and gentlemen?" No one dared make a sound. Julian's friends, who had swaggered to Rowan's defense moments ago, now cowered in a corner, drenched in cold sweat. They didn't carry the Sterling name. Offending the Hawthorns was suicide. The ceremony began at last, and laughter gradually filled the hall again. Amid the congratulations, Ethan took my hand and led me to the stage, sliding the engagement ring onto my finger. He lifted the microphone, his eyes trained on a distant corner. "Remember my wife Lily's face. Offend her and you offend me. I don't want a repeat of today's fiasco. Isn't that right, young Master Sterling?" In that corner, Julian's knuckles were white around his glass. After a long moment he lifted it and forced out, "Yes." Halfway through the reception, Rowan was personally escorted off the estate by Hawthorne security. When the guards left, the Chase family saw her bruises, but dared not breathe a word of protest. Once the Hawthorne cars disappeared, her father, after learning what had happened, slapped Rowan in front of witnesses, despite her sobs, and publicly disowned her. Julian's buddies didn't escape either. After licking their wounds, they were shipped abroad by their families overnight to London and Sydney. After the ceremony, Julian cornered me outside the powder room, reeking of alcohol, eyes bloodshot. "Why, Lily? Only 3 months. Lily, you knew what Ethan and I are to each other. Why did you have to marry him?" His voice cracked, broken and hoarse. "You're doing this to punish me, aren't you? Lily, you hate me for the radio silence. Hate me for leaving you alone that night. Hate me for taking Rowan's side. Lily, you win." A tear slid from the corner of Julian's eye. "I already regret it. Lily, you don't love Ethan at all, do you? Divorce him. I'm willing to change. I'll stop smoking if you hate it. I'll keep my distance from Rowan. We'll never fight again. Just give me one more chance." Lily, looking at Julian, shattered in front of me. I felt nothing. In 4 years, if he had begged me once, I would have said yes. But life doesn't deal in ifs. It's too late, Julian. I'm already married. You're wrong. I love Ethan. Julian froze. How is that possible? Lily, it's only been 3 months. Not 3 months. 4 years. Every argument, every cold war with Julian, had drained my love dry. I wasn't going to stay trapped in that cycle forever. Marrying Ethan had nothing to do with you. Julian, stop flattering yourself. I pushed him away, putting space between us. Lily, are you still blaming me for being too close to Rowan? It's because enough. Julian, I cut him off. He had never explained himself before. Now, I didn't want to hear it. Babe, the man behind me slipped an arm around my waist, eyes narrowing with possessive warning. "Young Master Sterling, my assistant tells me you wanted to discuss a partnership with Hawthorne Corporation. So, having second thoughts?" Julian stumbled home to his family's Boston mansion reeking of Cabernet. That night his grandfather gave him a merciless dressing down. He hung over the toilet, dry heaving, mind hazy. The image of Lily safe in Ethan's arms made his eyes burn again. What he couldn't say aloud was that he wasn't the Sterling family's only choice. His father had plenty of bastards scattered out there. After his mother died, if grandfather hadn't protected him, his father would have remarried and brought those illegitimate sons into the manor long ago. But grandfather wouldn't favor him forever. Those outsiders shared his blood. The Hawthorne deal was his test, and he had failed. Alone at last, Julian quit pretending, collapsing on the floor in disgrace. Young Master Sterling, my assistant tells me you wanted to discuss a partnership with Hawthorne Corporation. So, having second thoughts, he kept seeing Ethan's dangerous gaze. Career and future on one side. So he fled. Then came grandfather's disappointed face. He wished everything he'd seen today was only a nightmare. If only he'd been given a little more time. He'd been one step away from inheriting the Sterling Group and bringing Lily home as his bride. Julian perched on a bar stool at a downtown Boston lounge. Poured another drink with unsteady hands. He regretted it. He shouldn't have pushed Lily away again and again for Rowan's sake. He'd simply grown used to the idea that Lily would always wait. Rowan and the rest of his bros were stepping stones to power. Their tangled families' useful tools. Only Lily stood alone. So whenever choices arose, Julian instinctively leaned the other way. Certain Lily would stay put, but now she'd left too. In the thick night, the butler ushered a woman in. She rushed to him, sobbing that she was wrong, too impulsive, begging him to take her back. Give her one more chance. Lily, is that you? Lily, you finally regret it. He kissed her hair, drunk with longing. Don't cry. Come home. I forgive you. It was my fault. Let's start over. The woman's body stiffened, yet she helped him to the bed. While she undressed him, he kept asking, Lily, is it you? Lily, do you regret leaving me? Where he couldn't see. Her eyes flashed with jealousy and resolve. She kissed him as if offering herself. I'm Lily. Julian, you're Lily. I regret it. A brutal slap woke Julian. Cold water drenched his face. For the first time, grandfather looked at him with disgust. Julian's heart went cold. Bewildered, he turned his head. Rowan sat naked under the sheet, shrieking, Julian, we love each other. We've slept together. He has to marry me. Julian's skull felt ready to burst. Memories flooded back. He sat up in horror. Rowan, you set me up? The Chase family stormed the Sterling Manor. Mr. Chase, long estranged from Rowan, insisted Julian take responsibility. Otherwise he'd release footage of the Sterling heir love and dumping his daughter. Rowan, you said I was your bro. Julian's face was dark. He hadn't known Rowan secretly filmed them. Battered by events, he pinned his last hope on her. If you ever saw me as your bro, tell your father it was an accident. That you feel nothing for me. Julian, what kind of bro shares your bed? What kind of bro stays single for 4 years by your side? We've kissed. Julian, on Lily's birthday, she saw it herself. My feelings were obvious. You have to own up. No girl wants to be just a bro. Julian, I love you, and you will marry me. When Rowan wailed those words, the last thread in Julian's mind snapped. I never expected to see Julian again at his own wedding. He went through the motions like a ghost, until he spotted me in the crowd, and his eyes lit up. Jerk tastes sweetness only after losing it. Where was all this devotion before? Ethan covered my eyes. Jealousy thick. Don't look at him, babe. He's filthy. Below the altar, only the Chase clan smiled. After long deliberation, grandfather Sterling agreed to the Chase Sterling marriage, paying dearly to retrieve Rowan's video. Its release would have ruined the family name. Julian's half-brothers raised glass after glass, thanking guests. They were his father's bastards, brought home the day after grandfather accepted the match. As we left, Julian blocked our car outside the Boston wedding venue despite Ethan's razor-sharp glare. He gave me a long, heavy look, then turned his gaze away. President Hawthorne, about the collaboration the Sterlings mentioned last time, are you still open to talking? Ethan arched an eyebrow. That's why you're here. Of course. Are you interested in the Sterlings' North American energy projects? Interesting. Julian seemed like a changed man. He stood beside Ethan, speaking with easy confidence about the advantages of a Hawthorne-Sterling partnership. Every word humble. I started to doze off. When I stepped out of the car to clear my head, I felt a stare burning into my back. Pure hatred. I turned. Lily, never imagined it. Did you? In the end, I'm the one who married Julian, not you. Rowan stood in a crimson gown, smiling coldly. These past weeks had been rough for her. The Chases had severed ties. She'd had nowhere to turn except to Julian. Only after she became the Sterling's daughter-in-law did the Chases acknowledge her again. But Julian didn't love her. He even hated her. Rowan would never forget that night, the night Julian, in the most abject tone she'd ever heard, had begged her to stay. Everything she had now, she'd gained that night while wearing Lily's skin. It was everything Lily had discarded. That only deepened Rowan's loathing. You bitch. You could have married anyone, but you had to marry Ethan, flaunting yourself in front of me every single day. Lily, if it weren't for you, Julian would have been mine long ago. I wouldn't have to fight tooth and nail just to keep our marriage hanging by a thread. No wonder your mom died so young. You're cursed. Rowan clutched her cheek and shrieked, disbelief widening her eyes. Lily, you dare hit me at the Sterling's estate? She stormed off to fetch help, but the moment the staff saw it was me, no one moved. Even the Sterling security detail pretended to patrol elsewhere, eyes averted. It had nothing to do with me personally. Julian's position in the family had become precarious. His father had brought every illegitimate child back to the Sterling manor, clearly with the old patriarch's blessing. No one was going to risk offending the Hawthorns, and me, for Julian's uncertain future. Rowan read the situation at once. Furious, she lunged at me herself. Rowan, have you lost your mind? Julian arrived in time to block her. He seized her arm without an ounce of pity, and slapped her, hard. Today is our wedding. As a Sterling bride, show some upbringing. Who said you could lay hands on a guest? Tears spilled down Rowan's cheeks. Humiliated in front of the crowd, Julian hadn't spared her an ounce of dignity, had struck her in public. Julian, open your eyes. I'm your wife. Lily's no longer yours. I gave up everything to marry you, and this is how you treat me on our wedding day? Rowan's voice cracked with desperation. Julian's face stayed cold, unmoved. Wasn't it your own choice? Rowan, no one forced you into my bed. I always thought of you as one of the guys. Rowan fled, choking on grief. The scene sent my mind spinning back to every time Rowan had taunted me. Julian had stepped in front of her, scolding me. Lily, act like the elder sister-in-law. Rowan speaks without thinking. She doesn't mean any harm. Suddenly it all felt pointless. I turned to leave. Lily, behind me. Julian caught sight of Ethan approaching and dropped his hand. I'm sorry, and forget me. I gave a cold laugh. In the car, Ethan gently stroked my hair. You look pale. If I'd known, I wouldn't have brought you. Milady, he teased, tone dripping mock drama. If you hadn't watched your ex walk down the aisle, how could you finally be done with him? I burst out laughing. Ethan and I had met because of Julian. Julian had just backstabbed him in a New York real estate deal, and Ethan was out for payback. After asking around, he found me. I was running a high fever. Julian had gone to buy me medicine and never returned. I opened the door of my Seattle apartment and collapsed straight into Ethan's arms. Ethan panicked, carrying me inside, fumbling for fever pills. When I woke, the first thing I heard was him rubbing his face, muttering in disbelief. Seriously, Vance, am I that hideous? The sight of me knocks you out cold? He ripped open a packet of capsules, filled a glass, and helped me swallow them. What kind of life is this? Julian's a bastard. If he treats you like garbage, swap him out. Why hang yourself on one tree? I'm quite a catch myself. At least I know how to treat women. I calmed him with a soft kiss. Ethan, maybe I was already done with Julian. His eyes lit up like lanterns, yet he kept his tone lazy, finger drumming on the armrest. Oh, when exactly? Before I could answer, my nose tickled and I sneezed violently. Ethan snapped to attention. He kicked the front passenger seat, snarling at the driver. Didn't I tell you my wife has allergies? No smoking on the job. When the driver stammered that he hadn't, Ethan frantically sniffed his own sleeve. Honey, where's the smoke? You know I never touch cigarettes. I wrinkled my nose on purpose. That's vinegar I smell. Ethan, you're suffocating me. Lily, you, also, give the driver a raise. You terrified him. Ethan finally relaxed. Whatever you say, wifey. 1 year later, Rowan gave birth to a boy at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. She died in childbirth. Julian rushed to use the child as leverage against the old man and the swarm of illegitimate heirs. Rowan's funeral was a hasty afterthought at Forest Lawn Memorial Park. Later the patriarch passed. Julian's father suffered a stroke, and a quiet half-brother no one noticed inherited the Sterling fortune. I asked Ethan why it hadn't gone to Julian. Hadn't Julian come begging for his support? Simple. I turned him down. Ethan cradled our daughter, grinning like a king who just conquered the world, bankrolling a love rival. Even I'm not that stupid. What Ethan never mentioned was this. He'd loved a girl for years, but she was too stubborn, so he arranged chance meetings whenever her boyfriend stepped out and quietly knocked on her door. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.